Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Jillian. So I wanted to go over this again because the other day I showed you my ferments using tap water, and it about spun some people's heads around. And so I'm going to make sure the person who had to screenshot me some holistic allopathic article that shows what's in the tap water, I want to make sure she gets this. She may not get it. That's okay. I love her to death. I still very much respect her because we've been through a lot together as far as this protocol. So I definitely have a lot more invested in her to make sure she gets this. And I hope she does. So you realize that all the elements in the world are made up of the periodic tables, okay? So fluoride, mercury, and you know what's in pesticides? All the different elements, minerals. Everything that's a chemical is a mineral, and it's a compound element, it's an element. That's what everything is in the world, okay? So pesticides and GMO, and when an article is fear mongering so they can sell you a water filtration system, they will purposely pick out specific minerals in the water or in any type of product and then spread fear around it. Now, yes, maybe some waters and some products have maybe a little bit more minerals than others for whatever reason. There's a reasoning behind it. But if it was poisonous, you would be dead, and it wouldn't be widely distributed because we would have everybody falling over and dying from drinking the tap water. The reason why people are not dying from drinking the tap water, unless you're in Flint and you can set your water on fire, okay, is because they realize that everybody has a filtration system in their body, and their body will absorb what it needs and release the excess. If you have a sluggish immune system and a sluggish lymphatic system, of course you're going to calcify all different parts of your body because that's your own fault. Because you've stagnated your lymphatic system, your immune system, your digestive system. You stagnated all your systems, so now it's going to misfire and create all these issues, and then you're going to fill in the blanks when you've been diagnosed with a disease, or when you read some article that like says, oh God, you know, the fluoride is calcifying your pineal gland, and so you're going to automatically just have that as a go-to to blame for all of your issues of why it is that you can't make it in our society. Okay? So when you're aging, you're degrading, and you have cancer disease and chronic illness, it's not just fluoride, it's not just mercury, it's not just any of these one little tiny pieces of minerals that, or barium, that the holistic or the allopathic industry is fear-mongering about. It's a conglomeration of minerals that you can't release in your body. So of course, it's going to stay in your body, and it's going to calcify different parts of your organs. Okay? So there is no demonizing tap water on my Facebook. There is no reason for you to screenshot any article in the holistic or allopathic world, what they have itemized out and compartmentalized so they can sell you a water filtration system. You realize that the J juice and water, regular water, and then your access to healing, to where you actually sustain the healing on a continuous basis, is your filtration system. You have a built-in filtration system. And if you don't know how to use it, then of course you're going to be fearful of your environment. Okay? The reason why I said I'm using tap water in my ferments, so that way you know that the fluoride and the mercury and the pesticides are no different than any other mineral that's in the pink Himalayan salt. Okay? I've said, you guys, use only pink Himalayan salt. Whatever brand you use of pink Himalayan salt, I don't care. If it's pink and it's a Himalayan salt, use it. I just happen to use Sherpa from the San Francisco Salt Company that I get off of like either Amazon, or I don't know, if I go to some store here that has it. But I just use that brand. Doesn't mean is that the best brand? I don't know. It's pink Himalayan salt. Okay? Because that's the salt to use. Some of you are very, very stubborn. that want to do your own thing. You think you know better subconsciously, and then when I say the same thing in a different way, or the same thing in the same way, it's like it gets this. It's like you're shocked, and I'm like, I mean, Cindy Budd was off my Facebook for a minute because there was a misunderstanding, and so she's back on, and she's not always on Facebook, but she has been part of my group. She has seen what it is. I talk about the pink salt, so I don't understand why there's this disconnect around the salt unless there is just this major brainwashing penetration that I have to get through. And she's not the only one. Some of you are still, very, very, very stubborn that you want to, fill in your own blanks because somehow subconsciously you know better. That's fine, but I can't. I'm not saying I'm going to guarantee any results, but hey, I mean, if you don't get the results you're looking for, maybe you should just follow the protocol, okay? But when it comes to the minerals in the tap water, your body is going to take in what it needs and release the excess. There's a whole chemical process with J juice. It's a major chemical process of lactofermentation, macro and micronutrition. You have the lactobacillus, the lactic acid, you have the water, you have the time and temperature and ratios. You understand the healing process. You know things sort of what to expect. You have an overabundance of minerals in your body that's already causing you issues, but you still need to have a certain formula of minerals and fats and enzymes and proteins and bacteria to make sure that everything is being moved and pushed through your stagnated highways, okay? And then Arlene Brooks says in Palm Beach, they have hooked up the sewer line to the water line in the past 2 years. Oh, geez. I can only imagine, Arlene, how that actually turned out. But still, you run the water, and if it smells like sewage, then you don't drink it. I mean, I'm sure that if there's something that's totally amiss, I'm not worried about the tap water, just so you know. If that ever happens, hey, but look at this. You're drinking when you're at a restaurant and you want water at your table. Sometimes they'll say it's filtered water, and sometimes it's just freaking tap water with ice. When you're having your food made for you by somebody in a restaurant, you realize that they put the food in the microwave. They use ingredients that you would probably not have in your house. They use tap water, okay? Unless you're into like some health food store that they have filtered water in the walls and where you can just go and get it. Or like, I guess at an airport where you can refill your glass bottles so you can drink water. They say it's filtered water, but I don't even care. Now, will I go drink the water in Mexico? I probably won't go to Mexico. I have really no desire to go to Mexico. But if I ever did, and I happen to actually drink tap water, I'm not too afraid of the bacteria. Only because I would probably have salt with me, and I would probably make sure that I put some salt in my water, and then also have salt without, or the water without the salt. So I'm not just putting, you need to have a balance. I mean, I don't want to be drinking salt, but there's a little bit, you can put a little bit of salt in your water in an area that has questionable water, but still have then just a tiny bit. Okay, so it's not overwhelming the water to where it's so salty. You don't want to be drinking salt water because you don't want to be thirsty all the time, and you need to feed your body water to offset the salt. So, not true. Oh, do I have a troll on here? Oh, lovely. I love having trolls on here that like to debate with me. Because hey, look at me. I'm drinking the tap water. Do I look like I have issues? Maybe if you have issues, Crystal Grace and Cranford, is because you have other issues that tap water isn't causing it. You have other issues. So goodbye, Crystal. I'm not dealing with trolls. You can play your fear game somewhere else, but not on my Facebook. Bye. I tell you what, I'm telling you, people, it is crazy the amount of fear, the amount of, oh my gosh. Yes, and you're right. Patricia. It's the looping. It's the looping. So yeah, I mean, what I do if I smell like chlorine, it dissipates, it oxidizes off. So when I put water in a container that I put in my fridge, yes, when I open the spigot and I put it in my glass, I can smell the whiff of the chlorine as it basically dissipates, and then the water smells and tastes wonderful. So I don't need any filters. I don't need any filtered water. I mean, all I want is just cold water. And then I'll actually have water sit out, like, on my dresser, which I would forget in the morning. And it just sits there. And so I'll drink that. If I'm like, oh yeah, there's some water there, I'll just drink that. Okay, so really, truly, if you trust your system because you're taking care of it, your body is going to absorb what it needs and release the excess. Okay, that's really no two ways about it. Your body is going to absorb what it needs and release the excess, because all of those 84, 86 minerals in pink Himalayan salt, and then in the food supply, those are, and then when you put a specific chemical process with the sodium chloride, it's going to energize your system and it's going to help you release any excess. And then it's going to then allow you to release hormones and other secretions to then heal the body, and then suppress other hormones that are too prevalent, too much on the surface, that is causing your imbalances. And now you finally have a very calm demeanor. You're not in a hurry to die, because that's how our society is. You're not going to be chasing a carrot. You'll be chasing the sun. Now, some of you will be chasing the moon if you're working like the night shift. But in reality, you're not going to be chasing that carrot. You already won, you guys. Do you realize that you already made it? Once you know about J-Juice, you already made it. There's nothing else that you need to do unless you want to. Okay, but you know about J-Juice, you already made it. So I was thinking in my head, thinking about, like, work and life and all this other stuff, and what's the, what is the goals of our society, and everyone's trying to get ahead and make all this money and get all these awards and kind of brag to their friends, oh, I'm so successful because I have this, and this. Well, what is success? Success is knowing how to beat death. Success is knowing how to pace yourself when you know you're going to be around for a while. Success in the matrix is the fact that you're on a very limited time frame, and you want to pull ahead of the other guy who has the same limited time frame, and the one who wins has the most toys or the most debt when they die. That's basically what winning is in our society is who finishes with the most debt or the most toys. That's not the J-Juice mentality. The J-Juice mentality is to conquer death, be able to produce as much as you consume on a continuous basis, equal exchange of energies on a continuous basis. Yes, you can say, do unto others as they done unto you, but that has a whole different connotation in the Bible, which isn't bad. But there is another way of saying this, is when you are exchanging energy equally and being able to convert whatever energy, whether currency or energy or hormones, we're able to convert it to where it's to your benefit, where it prolongs not only your life, but then you're leaving everything that you're doing better than when you got it. Okay? And so then no matter what, wherever you go, whatever you do, it doesn't matter what it is that you're doing. You're going to actually enjoy it, because you're not thinking that you need to step on this thing or this person to get to the next level. No, because you're realizing that now we're not in a race anymore. You can freaking relax now, you guys. You can heal, you can seal, you get to that point, and then you start planning out what you want to do forever. Okay? But what is forever? That's too far in the future for some people. So you just keep figuring out, what can you do today to make your bills, to make, your bed, to make sure your dog and your husband and your kids are doing relatively okay, giving people access to something they didn't have access to before. Because I'm gonna tell you, J-Juice gives a wide, is an opening, an opportunity. It's an opportunity to give somebody the gift of life. but you have to be very discerning on who it is that you give this to. Because let me tell you, you try to give this to someone that's not ready to hear it, and you're just like not discerning, it's going to come and bite you in the ass. But that's okay, because some people, so there's ways in which you can drop the seeds without compromising, your livelihood or compromising anything else. And sometimes it just happens that way because you just didn't expect it, but that's okay. You'll just then say, okay, you're not ready for it, and you lay off. That's why I say, never push this down anybody's throat. When someone says, oh, I defended you, Jillian, I lost friends over you, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no one told you to ram this down somebody's throat. That's the reason why we have an issue to begin with, because you're trying to ram some shit down my throat that I wasn't appreciated about. So if you lost friends over J-Juice, that's then showing you a pattern of how you operate in the world. Maybe you should check that. Okay? I haven't lost friends over this. I've lost people who are lost themselves. Were they a friend? They may have been for a certain amount of time, but then we didn't grow together. So friends, they grow together or they grow apart. So everybody's a friend. We're just not in the vicinity of each other. Some people need to go and figure it out for themselves, because I can't be a party to them figuring it out. Doesn't mean I lost them as a friend. If they happen to be like, hey, I apologize for the way I've acted, they're back to my friends. That's fine. And then I'm not going to hold anything against them. So everybody's a friend if they want to be. But the fact that some people are in a totally different headspace and we'd constantly be clashing, it doesn't make sense to have them in my immediate vicinity where I have to go and then clean up any messes. Okay, so that's why I keep my secret public Facebook group very clean. I don't want anybody putting anything out there that I have to go and clean up later. Just do the protocol. There is no controversy and no debates and no room for miscommunication when you talk about your own healing and how it is that you're feeling, and you understand the protocol. And yes, it's difficult, but it's doable. And here's my schedule type of thing. And I'm just, observing all of the manifestations, and I love it. And I'm seeing improvements in my relationships. There's no room for miscommunication when you're speaking from that platform. But when you start like the whole thing with the salt, like yesterday, a lady that I did have issues with before because of miscommunication, because people are putting out articles all the time. They're like, oh yeah, like a continuous substantiation of the salt, or a continuous substantiation of parasites in so many different contexts. And there's so much, if you don't really point out the context, then it leaves room for miscommunication. And I don't have time to figure out where you're all coming from. So I don't want anybody promoting or downgrading salt in my group. Now, it's fine if you want to say pink Himalayan salt's great and there's no room for miscommunication there. Okay, fine. But when you start discussing the politics around gray salt, sea salt, pink salt, this salt, it starts becoming like the Tower of Babel, and you have no idea how that information is being filtered through the recipients. And so it can turn into something that never had the intention to turn into. So to alleviate that potential, okay, there's no reason to substantiate any more about the pink salt, because it's already been taken care of. It's already been done with. Occasionally, I'll have new people come on my Facebook that want to then send me a private message about cell salts, which I'm like, I'm telling you, everything that you see on the internet, okay, everything out there in the world basically is reflective on the internet. I've already covered or discussed in my 60,000 person group, because 60,000 people is like a lot of people who represent so many different interest groups and ideas and protocols that there's nothing I haven't or I cannot even find out for myself. I don't need anyone else to help me research. Kevin knows exactly where I'm going, what I know and what I don't know. That's why he's my research guy, because he knows, he's been around ever since the beginning. So he knows what I know. He knows what I don't know. So that's who my research guy is. Nobody else needs to send me any articles, because you have no idea how much I know, because you haven't been around since the beginning. That's why new people just need to chill out, and they don't need to send me articles about conspiracies, about this, about trolls, about whatever. I've been there, done that, bam. Don't need to go there again. Now it's just you do the protocol, tell me how it lands in your world, tell me how it changes your biochemistry, changes your politics to where now you're more chilled out, you're not inducing fear, and you're just taking care of your kids and your family. And if somebody is crossing your boundary, you know how to stop it so that you don't have a victim and deal with all of that. I mean, that's really what Jade Juice is there, is to make sure that your internal universe is so well balanced that then it projects into the external universe and you start spreading peace and spreading acceptance and spreading strategy to make the world better, not fear and conspiracy and hatred and division. The whole thing about Jade Juice is to create a well-balanced internal universe so you can project a well-balanced, society when people actually start seeing you change. What keeps us looping is that we still feed into the fear, and then people will absorb that. And if their internal universe is just as imbalanced as yours, guess what? You're feeding off each other's imbalances. And some groups out there do that. They feed off each other's imbalances. They induce fear and hatred and division in different ways, either through the hate, or the love. And that's why they don't see any changes in their environment, because they haven't created change within themselves. Okay? So really, what our goal is with Jade Juice is to not worry about making it, because you already made it. You know the Jade Juice, you already made it. Now you have to implement it. And then you're going to see your world change around you. Then you're going to relax. And then you're going to figure out what exactly you need to make sure that you and your family not only survive, but live comfortably without having too much excess in debt or too much excess in wealth, to where then you attract parasites. Because you realize you have too much excess in any type of thing, it's either going to eat away at your soul, because you're like, damn, I owe this much money. Okay, and when you're on a debt trajectory with only a limited amount of time, owing a lot of money eats away at your soul. Then you're working harder to try to pay it off, and then you're not regenerating. And so now you are accelerating the death process. But when you have too much money and you're still on a limited life schedule type of thing, now you have parasites. People want, hey, can I borrow some money? Hey, if you don't mind if I do this, or hey, let's go and do this, and someone wanting to spend your money. Okay, so this is why balance is key. So you're not having, you're not having your soul be eaten away by the whole mounting debt, because you have a limited time on this earth, and your body's breaking down, and you're not totally like having so much wealth that you're attracting parasites and it's not doing anything for you or humanity. So now you live in perpetual balance with Mother Earth. That's how I see Jade Juice manifest in this world, that we're all living in perpetual balance with Mother Nature. Okay? And then we're not inducing fear. We're understanding why the government exists the way they exist and why they do the things they do. We're not worrying about the elements individually. We know that it's a whole chemical process out there. And then we also know that we have access to then create a chemical process so we can live symbiotically and adapt to our environment, which is really truly what makes humanity so special, is because we have the ability to adapt, the ability to change our perspective and change our environment for good or for evil. And what is evil? Evil is imbalance. For good is balance. So those of you that are like, oh, I want to save Earth and I want to save humanity, save yourself first. If you can't even save yourself, there's no freaking way you can save humanity, because you have to exemplify a well-balanced person. And not everyone is going to want to hear all of your raising awareness, because it falls on deaf ears if they're doing their own thing. Or they're going to hear you and get all scared and then turn into somebody who is now an activist, who then may translate their activism into real world violence. You have no idea what kind of things you're triggering people when it comes from a hate, raising awareness, fear standpoint. Exemplify peace within, and then if you have to have thorns on your flowers that you're projecting because somebody else is now crossing your boundaries, you do what you need to do to protect yourself and your family. But also remember, you're going to be on this earth for a long time. How do you want to live on this earth? Living in fear, living in like, oh my God, the world's going to end? Or do you want to project a well-balanced, pacing yourself type of human? Because when it finally resonates, you're going to be on this earth for a while, the race is over. Now it's just, how do you live in perpetual balance with Mother Nature? And that's a huge weight off of my shoulder, because here's the thing, what is rich? Rich is being able to continuously produce, but also consume and produce equally. And then if you need a little bit of reserves for a rainy day, then that's fine, but it's not becoming too much of an imbalance here. And you're utilizing the resources and you're putting it to make sure that the world's a better place. Okay. You know, if I happen to ever get rich, which I don't really plan to, because this is not something that people are gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take this on, everybody buys my book and now I'm like this wealthy person. No, it's gonna happen in little stages, tiny stages, because humans are not gonna take something like this on like all at once, like, oh my God, all of a sudden. No, it's something that happens gradually. It's a very gradual trickle when you change biochemistry. It doesn't happen like all at once. But what happens all at once for people is when you have a severe spike in your hormones, to where then, yeah, but if that ever, I doubt that there'd be a severe spike in someone's hormones to where 20,000 people are going to buy my book all at once. So I've accepted the fact that this is something that's going to happen on a gradual level. Okay. And eventually, yes, this is going to get out more in the mainstream. But believe me, I don't want to become so super rich to where it makes me out of touch, and then it doesn't translate. We still have to, you know, I mean, it's like, and I don't see that. And actually, because that it doesn't make sense. It would mean that there'd be a spike in hormones in all of the population, and that's not going to happen in the way of JJuice. Okay, we're trying to suppress certain hormones, and what makes people rich is the fact that they have an imbalance of hormones that allows them to produce at an exponential level for a certain amount of time. And so then they're creating all this wealth that they don't know how to spend, because they don't have the energy to spend and make money. So they'd rather make money, and that makes them feel good. Okay. And then they leave that legacy to their children, who then will spend it and become trust fund kids. And then, you know, hopefully, well, not hopefully, they would have to have a major biochemical change to then take that money and put it really for good in our society. Okay, so I don't see myself getting rich off my book, because it's going to be a gradual over time, and it's going to take people a while for them to see, you know, really, if they don't believe in the writing and they don't believe in the research, I got to be around for a while. Okay, I got to be around for a while. I got nothing but time. So I'm just going to enjoy my life and do the best I can to help educate, and actually physically help, because that will happen too, and educate and inform and drop seeds without ramming it down people's throats. Okay. And pace myself. I am not in a sprint. I'm in a marathon. So all of you, pace yourself. People are going to die around you. It's going to happen. Companies are going to fold. Parents are going to pass away. Sisters and brothers who are dealing with cancer disease and chronic illness are going to pass away. You know what's going to happen. Just keep doing what you're doing. Somebody that you know, the right people will pick up on this. Okay. But yeah, I don't foresee a spike in humanity where all of a sudden everyone's going to buy the book and do it. No, it's a constant presence. We're not playing the allopathic holistic game where we want everyone to just slam, you know, themselves into change. Change happens very gradually, and some people have to be ready to do that kind of, especially do that kind of biochemical change. It's easy to change diets. Oh my God, oh yeah, I'm going to do the keto diet, I'm going to do the paleo diet, I'm going to do the, you know, that's easy because that's superficial. The real change is so deep that it takes really all the conditions have to be right for somebody to embrace something like JJuice, because it ain't easy. It's not a drug. Okay. So you have to be the one to exemplify. And if you're on and off the protocol, trying to get everybody on the protocol, and you're still the same kind of person, the same love, or the same cancer disease and chronic illness, and you're not really showing anything physically or spiritually any difference, then no, people are not going to pick up on the JJuice and do it, because they haven't seen anything worth doing in your world. Okay. So it's a constant, you have to, so the JJuice doesn't lie. What you put out there in the world doesn't lie. Okay. You can say one thing, but your body and your body, mind, and spirit will say another. So remember, you can intellectualize J juice all you want, but people are not going to follow you if you haven't have the alignment of the body, mind, and spirit, or at least attempting to align that to where then you see gradual changes. And sometimes you may see major changes, but it's the gradual change that then culminates into a major change over time. But you have to keep sticking with the J juice, because you're not going to just all of a sudden one day wake up and look like you're 20. That ain't going to happen. That will never happen. So pace yourself. All right. I got to go. Talk to you later.